Let's get back to painting a nice loose and simple landscape. For this I'm using just my hair brush with some clean water just to get the sky area, and then a touch of yellow ochre, which I really like to do.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors.
I like to do these scenes off the top of my head, so I'm not quite sure where I'm going, but I was thinking at this point maybe there'll be some water in the bottom half of the scene. So I just went ahead and covered the whole of the paper in yellow ochre, the top and bottom. And using a bit of Payne's Grey and alizarin crimson, the first mix in the sky, the blue, is just a French ultramarine, and then just darken it up a little bit with Payne's Grey and red, just to get those clouds and just a bit of drama in the skies. I do like to do these sort of skies, sort of dreamy, stormy skies.
I could really use some stuff like that.
The paints of my choice today for this scene are my m.grahams professional watercolors, which I always like to use. They're a nice, rich, vibrant colour, and they do re-wet quite well. And so I'm just laying down some land now, so it's just a mix of yellow ochre and sap green. And while the paint's still wet, I'm just, if you can see, just spotting in just a little bit more of the sap green. And this is giving me a bit of a distant tree line and trees just to go on the hillside, which is quite nice because it's quite soft. And I will go into some more detail as well, adding some darker tones. So I'm thinking at this point where my light source is going to be, which direction the light, the sort of highlights and the shadows will be. But I'm doing that as I'm carrying on with the sort of hills. As I come down the paper, I'm adding a little bit more colour. So I'm adding a bit more sap green and darkening the mix a little bit as I come down. And like I said, it's quite a nice loose painting, so I'm definitely not after perfection, but I'm just going to pop in a couple of layers of hills as well. So you've got this distant hill in the background, so that's just a mix of the I've just used the sky colour and a bit more of the French ultramarine, and then just with a clean damp brush just going along the bottom just to clean that edge and just give it a little fade so it looks like it is in the distance. And then I wanted to go an extra layer as well on top of that, so that we got in the far distance. So for this I'm using a lighter mix of the same, just a bit more water, and then just to define a little bit of that, just add a little bit more of the mix, the blue and the red mix. So I was thinking of adding a bit of a river and maybe a bit of a wetland scene, where on the right hand side there's a little bit of paler paint, so I can use that as a bit of water. And I'm just spotting in a few trees here and there, so it is a little bit wet still, so I am getting a nice diffused edge on a lot of these trees, and I will go in once this is dried and get some hard edges, just so it brings things to the foreground and it brings things forward, pushing those hills into the distance, creating that illusion of depth in this painting. And like I said, painting this river, you want to try and use straight horizontal strokes for water if you're doing a scene like this, with maybe a river running through the scene. It is quite easy to mistake the water and paint it in the direction you want it flowing, but it doesn't look right. And so if you're doing rivers in your scenes, then just go straight from side to side, and that gives more of more realistic looking water coming down. And I am using a sepia pen for this as well. It's quite different, quite nice change from using black fine liner pens. I do have a set of these sepia, which is quite a nice earthy colour, so it's nice for trees and things like that, so I thought I'd make the most of that. And it's just a case of adding a few darker details here and there to the scene and create that sort of light and contrast in the scene, which is always quite nice. So I've added a few shapes and a few lines to the hills, just giving an indication of smaller trees and a bit of separation for the fields. And I will be adding a fence as well to this scene coming down, just to give more of a focal point and a more of an interest. But just using my liner brush now, just to get some grasses on the riverbank, and just a straight sort of motion with my wrist. And then with a sepia pen again, I'm just adding these fence posts, which is going to come down the hillside. So these are quite small. I want them it's quite a distance, I suppose, and just using the pen to create those little fence posts. So it is quite a simple scene. There's not really much to this one. Hopefully, if it's something you want to have a go of, then you feel free to have a go. You can paint along, or use this video to help you with this painting if you want to give it a go. But like I said, it is a made up scene. I just sort of thought on the spot as I was painting. I saw different things, and yeah, just a nice little simple sort of wetland scene with distant hills and a river running through it, which is quite simple. There's not too many components to the scene. So just removing the tape now, just to give it that clean border and make it look more complete. So I hope you like this one. It's a nice short one. Please do leave me comments in the comment section and give me a thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. And if you're not hit your notification bell, then please do hit the notification bell, and you will be notified every time I upload another video like this. That's it. Thanks for watching.